I never believed I would be the kind of woman who could betray her husband. For years, I thought of myself as loyal, devoted, the kind of wife who stood by her man no matter what storms passed through our marriage. But life is never that simple. Love isn't always steady, and even the strongest bonds can weaken when loneliness becomes heavier than the promises once made at an altar. I didn't set out to fall into temptation. I didn't plan on letting my guard down, or letting another man's touch undo me. But when that man is your husband's brother, when his eyes linger on you in ways that make your body remember you are still alive, still wanted, it becomes a dangerous secret that swallows everything you thought you knew about yourself. Mark and I had been married for 12 years, and in many ways, we had a stable life. We had a comfortable home, enough money to live without worry, and routines that looked perfect from the outside. People often said we were the couple others envied, the ones who had it all together. But behind closed doors, things were different. Mark was married to his work more than to me. Long hours at the office turned into late-night business trips, his attention constantly pulled toward deadlines, contracts, and endless phone calls. At first, I told myself it was temporary, that once he achieved the position he wanted, he'd relax, and we'd have more time for each other. But as years went by, that time never came. Our conversations shrank to practical matters, bills, groceries, schedules, and intimacy became something rare, almost foreign. I began to feel invisible in my own marriage, like a piece of furniture he passed by without noticing. Ryan, my husband's younger brother, started visiting more often when their parents' health declined. Unlike Mark, who always approached problems with a stern, pragmatic seriousness, Ryan carried an ease about him. He had a smile that felt like sunlight, a way of making even heavy moments lighter. Where Mark was careful and restrained, Ryan was spontaneous, adventurous, always ready to make you laugh even when you didn't want to. He noticed people notice me in a way that was disarming. At first, it was comforting, like having someone finally see the loneliness I tried so hard to hide. But over time, that comfort shifted into something dangerous, something thrilling. One Friday evening, Mark had left for another week-long trip. I came home from work to an empty house, the kind of silence that seemed to press against me like a weight. I poured myself a glass of wine, changed into something casual, and sat on the couch flipping through channels without really watching. When the doorbell rang, I wasn't expecting anyone. Opening the door, I found Ryan standing there, holding a bag of takeout, and wearing that easy grin that made it impossible not to smile back. "Thought you might not want to eat alone tonight," he said, holding up the bag. The relief that washed over me was almost embarrassing. I laughed, stepping aside to let him in, and soon we were sitting on the couch with cartons of Chinese food spread across the coffee table. We talked easily, the way we always did, slipping into stories and laughter. He teased me about the way I still used chopsticks awkwardly, and I teased him back about the ridiculous hairstyles he had in old family photos. The wine flowed, our laughter grew louder, and little by little, the walls I kept around myself crumbled. At some point, his hand brushed mine as we both reached for the same carton. It was nothing, an accident, but the warmth of his skin sent a jolt through me. I should have pulled away, should have let the moment pass without acknowledgement. But I didn't. I let my hand rest there, let the electricity hum between us. He didn't move his either. When I looked up, his eyes were on me. Not playful this time, not brotherly, but intense, searching, hungry. My breath caught. "Linda," he said softly, my name curling in the air between us like something forbidden. I whispered his name back before I could stop myself, and then the space between us disappeared. His lips pressed against mine, tentative at first, like he was giving me a chance to push him away. But instead of pulling back, I leaned in, meeting his kiss with a desperation I hadn't felt in years. It was wrong. Every part of me knew it, but it also felt devastatingly right, like finally drinking after years of thirst. When the kiss deepened, my heart pounded so hard I could feel it in my throat. I pulled away, trembling, whispering, "We can't," but my voice was weak, filled with longing that betrayed my words. "I know," he murmured, his hand cupping my cheek, thumb stroking my skin gently. But I can't stop wanting you. That was the moment everything shifted. The line I thought I'd never cross blurred and then disappeared. When he kissed me again, I didn't resist. When his hands pulled me closer, I let him. The night unfolded like a dream we both knew was dangerous, but neither of us could stop. Clothes fell away, whispers turned into gasps, and every touch was charged with the heat of something we shouldn't have been doing but couldn't deny. Lying in his arms afterward, tangled in sheets that still smelled of Mark, guilt crashed over me like a wave. But underneath the guilt was something I hadn't felt in years. Alive. Wanted, desired. I told myself it would be one night, a mistake I would bury, something I could forget if I tried hard enough. But deep down, I knew that was a lie. The days that followed were torture. Every time I saw Ryan, my body remembered the way his hands felt on me, the way his lips traced fire across my skin. We tried to act normal around the family, but the stolen glances, the fleeting brushes of touch, all betrayed us. It didn't take long before one night turned into another, and then another. He would come by when Mark was gone, or we'd find excuses to be in the same place. Each time, I told myself it was the last, that I had to stop before everything spiraled out of control. But each time, the pull between us was too strong. The secrecy was intoxicating. Knowing that at any moment we could be caught only made the passion more intense. But it was also terrifying. The guilt gnawed at me, especially when Mark would call during his trips, his voice tired but affectionate, asking how things were at home. I would lie, my words steady even as my heart raced with shame. I wanted to stop. I wanted to be strong enough to walk away from Ryan. But the loneliness that had once hollowed me out was now filled with him, and I couldn't imagine giving that up. One evening, after another secret rendezvous, I sat in the dim light of my living room, staring at the empty glass in my hand. Ryan was beside me, his fingers tracing idle patterns on my thigh. "This can't go on forever," I said quietly, the weight of reality pressing down. "I know," he said, his voice heavy with the same conflict I felt. "But I don't want to stop. Do you?" I turned to look at him, the man who was both my greatest comfort and my greatest sin. My silence was answer enough. The danger of it all grew sharper when Mark began to notice my distance. He asked questions subtle at first, then more pointed. I dodged them with practiced ease, but the guilt only deepened. I found myself torn in two, between the life I had built with my husband and the fire that consumed me with his brother. Each kiss with Ryan felt like salvation and destruction all at once. The secret we carried became heavier, harder to hide. There were close calls, moments when Mark nearly walked in, or when family gatherings forced me to sit across from Ryan pretending we were nothing more than in-laws. Each time, my heart pounded with the risk of exposure. And yet, each time, the thrill of secrecy only pulled us closer, like moths circling a flame we knew would eventually burn us alive. I don't know what will happen next. I don't know how long we can keep living inside this dangerous lie. All I know is that I can't forget the way Ryan looks at me, the way he makes me feel alive in ways Mark hasn't in years. It is a betrayal, a sin, a secret that could shatter everything. But in the quiet, when his arms are around me and the world fades away, it feels like the only truth I can't let go of. And that is the cruelest part of all, knowing that sometimes the heart doesn't care about vows or promises. Sometimes the heart just wants what it wants, even if it destroys everything in the end.